This world is mine. This world is yours. This world is called Kidz Universe. KIDZUNIVERSE. It's where we learn. It's where we play.
Hello everyone and welcome to Kidz Universe. Kidz Universe is a place where we inspire kids of all ages, from newborns to 120 or even older. And here anything really can happen. You can see magic, you can probably feel some serious conversations going on. See the bubbles in the air, you know, anything. So don't be surprised, or in fact be surprised, and let me tell you more. Be inspired and be empowered. Yes, I'm talking to you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And today my guests on the show are the two amazing souls. One of them is Hannah Cool, and we also see Dinh. So welcome guys to the show, and we are here to just have a conversation. Just have a conversation about you, and my hope that it's going to inspire some other kids your ages and my age to go for their big dreams. And with that said, even without introducing you, because we will get into who you are and what you do, and because you guys are incredibly talented, and I can tell you right off the bat, I am inspired by you every time I talk to you. So my first question would be, what is your big dream? And we can start with Hannah. What is your big dream?
My big dream was to be a writer and to be able to do what I love most and be able to have fun with it and have it like shown to the world, so which is why I got into writing.
Into writing.
Yes.
In fact, I know that kind of because the book that I have here, The Wildfire's Twin, that's Hannah's book, and we're gonna get into why and how it started, but so your big vision for yourself is to inspire other kids.
To inspire other kids and to be able to encourage our kids our age, encourage our generation to be a generation that no one else has seen before.
By our age, how old are you? May I?
I'm 15.
15. Yes, it's amazing. Thank you so much. It's something that I am working on, like my writing skills. So that's why I'm saying I'm inspired by you. So thank you so much. Keith, what about you? What's your big dream?
My big dream, my big dream is just to finish my education and go into some sort of business. Yeah, go into some sort of business and just make enough to support my family, or just my family, enough to be happy. Yeah.
So they are happy, or you're happy?
Everyone.
Everyone
as many
happy.
people as possible.
Okay. Can you tell us more about your yourself and your family? Like what? And let's start with how old you are.
Right. So I am 15. I live in a family of 7 people. So that's my two grandparents.
7 people.
Yeah, 7 people. My 2 grandparents, my aunt, my mom, dad, and my little brother. Yeah.
And your little brother. So what culture are you from?
We are Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. And you were born in the United States.
Yes. My mom came over when she was 7. My aunt was born here, her little sister, and I am the first of my generation to be born here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you guys know each other?
We went to middle school together.
Mm-hmm.
We met in 6th grade when she was giving her friend sushi, and I happened to know that friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked for that piece, and every few weeks or so, her mom would make her sushi, and I would get 2 or 3 pieces or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned in you being, I'm spilling the beans and the secrets right here, you being the editor for Hannah's book.
Yes, so after she, in her 7th grade year, she was homeschooled, and then she came back in her 8th grade year. I completely forgot about her. I only remember the sushi. And yeah, in 8th grade, we met again in a PE class, and I started talking to her because she seemed quite shy. Yeah, so we got to know each other a little more, and that summer of our 8th grade year, I became her editor.
Editor.
Yeah.
So it's incredible because the last time I talked with you, how old were you when you were editing?
I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
And you were 15 at the time.
14, 15.
14,
Like
15.
14,
You're like several months apart, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. I've never heard about this kind of duo because usually the editors would be experienced people. This is your first editing job, so to speak, right?
I enjoy doing freelance editing. So I would
Freelance.
edit speeches and different kinds of homework for my peers.
I see.
Yeah, and then this
Amazing.
is my first actual book editing. Yeah.
I see. So we're gonna go back and forth because so many questions I want to ask you. So Hannah, back to you. How did you get the idea for this book? And what is the book about? Because I will ask you to read just a little bit from your book so that we can get the feel for what your writing style is and what really interests you. First
Okay.
of all, it's the fiction, right?
Yeah.
It's the fiction book. Yes. So how did you get the idea?
The way, so first, I was actually taking a shower when one of the scenes popped into my mind that inspired me, so to say, to write a story for that particular scene because it was stuck in my head for a few weeks. And yeah, so the first time I got an idea for this book was in the shower, and I just expanded off of that. So it's about it takes place in a group of islands off the coast of like mainland, which is kind of like modern day America, and everybody there has powers, so they can control the elements. Because yeah, I really like powers and supernatural stuff, so I added that into my book. And so it's about these islanders who can control the elements, and the main island we focus on is the fire island, where everybody can control fire. But there's this one family, and the younger twin, she ends up activating water instead of fire. So there's this conflict between her and her family, and her and herself, because she really feels like she doesn't belong, or like she's in disappointment and embarrassment to her family and to her whole like island, especially since her sister is very, very talented in like everything. So yeah, she feels like she's a failure all the time, and so she tries to not use her talent or her water talent. But then 200 kids get abducted from their nation, and the queen chooses her and her best friend and 2 other students to go rescue those abducted kids. And that's when she starts to kind of explore her own talent and kind of grow from that fear.
I just have a question. Have you ever felt not belonging?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can resonate with that and write that character.
Yeah.
Can we listen to a passage? Maybe
Yeah.
just one short excerpt from the book.
Okay. So the excerpt I chose was when she activates her talent alongside with her best friend, and that creates like a really rare connection between her and her best friends. Yeah. So here. I closed my eyes like normal and focused. After a while, my mind started to wander. I wondered what my crest would look like. Would it look cool? I thought about Mira's pin. How about my title? Would it be cool enough to make mom and dad proud? At that thought, my mind flashed back to the times when my parents were unhappy with me. The numerous memories came in such a flood, I flinched. It was then I realized that they've been pretty much unhappy with me my whole life. Disappointment, embarrassment. I tried to push out those depressing thoughts like I've always done. Instead, criticism took their place. If only you were like your sister, you'd be an outstanding person. There, those haunting, jeering words. I started to feel something burning up inside me. You'd make our lives easier. You'd actually have a chance at something. It started to build up, this heavy weight in my chest. The words just repeated over and over as if on replay. If only you were like your sister, you'd be able to understand that our future and reputations are on the line. Mom and Dad's words filled me with rage again. If only you were like your sister, you would be impressive enough to tell the world. That was the last straw. My eyes flashed open, flaring with fury. I stretched my arms wide and released. Something flew out of my chest. Sounds gross, but it actually wasn't. It was more of a light than a solid object. The light flashed blue, then suddenly a thick band of water arched over my head, going from one hand to the other. My hands were curled like talons, ready to fling this flood at someone. I crouched down, scanning the bleachers, deciding who to unleash it on. Suddenly, an enormous gusting wind knocked me off my feet. The water still attached to my hands quivered. I pushed myself on my elbows. Galen? My friend's thick, shaggy hair was windblown, flying in all directions, superhero style. His dark eyes had lightened to a pale gray, fixed intently on me. His hands were outstretched, arms by his side. Suddenly, he swung up an arm and I went flying in the air. I reached out with my senses, feeling for the water molecules in the air. I drew them in, immediately boiling it against my skin due to my heating anger. I focused on Galen and shot it straight at him. The band of water wrapped itself around him, coiling like an octopus arm. He cried out, concentration broken. For a heart-stopping moment, I felt like a stone, but instinctively, I waved my free hand and caught myself in midair. Of course, right after I succeeded, an invisible force knocked me to the ground again, this time with a heart-exploding boom. I crashed to the floor, all power drained. I sat up shakily and squinted. Mr. Rumble? Mr. Rumble's eyes were flashing yellow, showing that he was using his talent. His arms were crossed. Wow, he must be pretty skilled to use his talent without showing his sign first. My head turned to see Galen on his side, shaking. What happened? I crawled slowly to my friend's side. My head felt fuzzy. What happened? Dude, you okay? Galen squinted up at me. Yeah, I think so. My arm hurts. I glanced down and I spotted red imprints on his skin. I think I got burned by something. I struggled to speak. My lungs felt like they were being crushed. Run cold water on them. It gets better. Then I collapsed, every memory vanishing, and I passed out.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, very, very profound. Yeah, I like the depth of the feelings that you're describing. Thank you so much. Keith, you are writing poetry.
Yes, I am.
And you're doing a lot of other stuff like wushu, and you're competitive in wushu art, and you do art latte pouring.
Yes.
Because it's another. This is something that I'm fascinated on. But what I would love for you to do, can you please share maybe one or two poems that
Yes, of course. Yeah.
that you wrote?
Yeah. Yeah. So today I've chosen two poems to share. This first poem I'm going to share with you, it's titled A Future Within You. It was a poem that I submitted into a poetry competition for my 8th grade year, and I won. It was submitted into our yearbook. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Within my dreams, in the night, I am soaring through the sky, hovering beneath the bright stars, with colorful cars gliding by. Beneath me, I see sparkles, created by brilliant minds, great minds that came together. The future is what they defined. I look down and see the people, a community closely bound. I see lives of joy and happiness. It's all the love that I've found. In my dreams, I see the future.
Thank you so much. Yeah. You want to share another one?
Yeah, this is the second one. This poem I wrote around the same time last year for the Moon Festival. Yeah, it's pretty big in the Asian culture, so I'd like to share this with you today. It is titled In the Moonlit Night. I await the moon in the star-filled night for the lanterns to show me the way. I see the bridge beyond the depth of mist as I enter the candlelit bay. The homes, they gleam with colors and love. The town, filled with dances of light. I approach the land as I stride the river's bank, but I go onward into the moonlit night. 'Twas the sight that I saw, with flowers in the sky, with laughter of children and shouts of glee. I look up to the moon, finding more than stars, to find lanterns floating above trees. I glide atop the water's shine, with the light, welcoming autumns round. And like the heavens and the earth, and the moon and the sun, we are all forever bound in the moonlit night.
I'm speechless. I'm really, really, really inspired by the two of you, by Keith, by Hannah. Quick question with the quick answer if possible. Since, well, not everybody is capable, like we all have different talents. What, in your opinion, let me reframe it. Do you think there is a gap between the little kids and the big kids? And what I mean is adults and the children, but in the kids universe, we call them all kids. If there is, what can we do to bridge it? And if not, then it's not. Then there's nothing to say. So let's start with Hannah, real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I think there is a gap because adults know a lot more than children. So I think one way to bridge the gap is to be more understanding of the other group, like to understand little kids more and to understand the older kids, the big kids, because then I think that would create, that would smooth out a lot of misunderstandings between the two.
Thank you. And Keith, what do you think? Thank you.
I honestly don't see much of a difference between kids and adults. So I find that kids, if they're put into an environment where they're more forced to grow up, then I'm pretty sure they will. If they're more in an environment where they're allowed to be kids for a very long time, then they will be. So to close the gap that some kids and some adults have, I think that kids should just look towards adults and see what the adults are doing and learn more about what they do for the kids. And adults should take a look at what their kids experience every day and try to think back to when they were a kid and just reminisce on those memories.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Keith, I have a very strange request. Can we please see a little bit of your wushu performance?
Of course. Sure.
Of course?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
We'll be right back.
Right, thank you.
Wow, Keith, that was inspiring, and I hope you guys, when you were watching that, you were as inspired as I was. I have a few more questions for you guys, for both of you. And we're gonna start with Keith. So what inspires you in general, in life?
In life, just people around me, the people I surround myself with, like my family and friends, and sometimes the little acts of kindness that I see just in the world in general. I want to put that into myself and be as much of a better person as I can be towards other people.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. I have another question in response to what you just said. How do you define a friend? Who is a friend for you?
A friend. So for me, I have like different degrees and levels to friendships. There are the like acquaintances where you just interact with every day and you just work with them and they're kind back and forth in general. There are the ones that I just keep closer and the ones that I can trust with almost anything. Yeah. And yeah, just those two main degrees. That's how I
So
define.
my
yeah.
question was, how do you define a best friend?
Best friend?
Yeah.
Best friend.
Especially, I'll tell you why I'm asking, because a lot of big kids like me, we're confused what the real friendship means, especially in this Western culture. Because you can have buddies, you can have basketball buddies, you can have swimming, you know, like people who you play cards with, or you go to the bars once you go older, if you do that, right? For example, so how do you define who your real true friend is?
So a real true friend, I'd have to say, should know every single side of you, the good and the bad, and be able to care and love you for who you are. And just, I guess, not judge you in a way, but not really judge in a negative, putting you down kind of way, but judge in a fun manner that you know they take sarcastically. Yeah, so being honest with each other is also a really big thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hannah, what is a real true friend for you and what inspires you?
Real true friend. I look for good qualities, like if they're honest, if they are kind to people, if they're respectful, like a lot of the basic qualities I think a good person should have, I think. Yeah, and yeah, for a best friend though, yeah, kind of like what Keith said, they should know all your sides and be able to love you for it. And they're also someone who would make you a better person instead of and someone who can support you in the best way possible.
Thank you so much. Yes. What are the true, you said the basic, I forgot how you phrased it, but you were talking about the values. So what are the values for you?
I think they should have good morals, or similar morals to you, so there's not as many conflicts.
What are your morals as you phrase it? I'm gonna dig until I get the answer.
It's a lot of different. I have different morals for different things. Yeah, the main one is to be kind to everyone, because if you be kind and be respectful to everyone, then everything else kind of just naturally follows, in my opinion. Yeah.
What's the most unusual act of kindness that you witnessed? And Keith, if you want to jump in, your mother, but Hannah.
Most unusual has what he did actually. So our school has dances, and then some people from the school council, they walk around and ask people if they want to buy tickets. So once they walked up, or twice they walked up to him, and he took out his money and he didn't buy any tickets, but he just said, oh, whoever use this money, and whoever buys tickets next gets it for free, because he basically paid it for them. So I was like, whoa, I've never seen anybody do that. So yeah.
That is so. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not crying. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So what inspires you? And thank you for sharing that. What inspires you?
As a person.
As a person, yes.
Okay.
Just to get into action, but not to be busy, because that's what most people call the action, but into inspired action, like writing a book or doing something. I know you play the piano, you play the bass guitar, right? Keith, you do this art latte design, right, which is fascinating on top of everything else. What really inspires you? What makes you do? Is it the parents who say you should do it, or is it coming from you?
Usually I would have an idea by watching someone similar to my age do it, because I think that's very powerful, because I was like, oh, if they can do it, then that means I can do it too. Yeah, so usually I would have an idea, and then I would tell someone, usually my parents, and then they would encourage me to do it, and then that's what gives me the motivation to do it too.
Yeah. Oh, well, it kind of prompts me with another question, but I'm going to save it until the end. Actually, let me change my mind. Anything is possible here. So, what is this? I usually say it's the jam. We collect lots of jams during the our physical time together. I mean, here in this on this planet, and especially in Kidz Universe. So we all have the treasure chest of gems, which is pieces of wisdom. Some people call it the more traditional way, the tools. What are the tools in your toolbox? But it's kind of manly, right? So the gems are more elegant. So my question is, what are your gems? Maybe one gem for each of you. If you want more, that's fine. It's basically, if I rephrase my question, when the whole world is listening to you, as they are doing right now, you, the little kids and the big kids, what would you say to them? Like, what is the piece of wisdom that you've accumulated in your 15th year of being here, and something that you can share? Hannah, ladies first.
Okay. Let's see. For younger kids, I guess, like teens
Like us?
and yeah,
Teen-
like us.
Can I be in that category
yeah.
too?
Yeah. I would say like don't let anybody say you can't do anything because you're too young for it. Like yeah, instead, I feel like you should set an example to everybody else in the way like you live or the way you do things, because you're going to grow up, people are going to look up to you, so you should start setting an example early on, so even people older can like look at you and go like, oh wow, that is like they're going to do something great someday because they're like such a good person. They're like very strong in their foundation in life, something like that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
What's the gem from your treasure chest, Keith?
Well, when I read or look at the news often, I notice that there are a lot of like problems and conflicts in the world. So to kind of address all that to people of all ages, I think of it as when you look at someone else and you think of them as different or unusual, just open your mind that you're not the only one. Like, you're not the only one who thinks that, but try to be more understanding towards them, and just try to just go out of your comfort zone and do something that can make them happy. And I think that will make the world a much happier place and bring smiles to many more people. Yeah.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I usually call it, this is my piece of wisdom from my 15 years. A lot of people are talking about getting out of your comfort zone. I think it's hard. Let's just expand it. Let's just expand. So, I have something special for you. Everybody who comes in and stops by our Kidz Universe, better yet, lives in Kidz Universe, always gets a present from us. And we have something special for you. So today, oh, hi, Unicorn. You are going to get these sashes, and we'll look at them if we can adjust them. So it says something. It has 3 letters on them. And bye, Unicorn. Thank you for being with us. And so it says VIC. Usually we know what VIP means. It's very important person. But VIC stands for very important citizen. And it's for you guys. Everything you said matters. Everything I want you to know that you are seen, you are appreciated, and your opinions matter. So thank you for being with us, and I hope we are all gonna stay together in this Kidz Universe. And it goes for everybody who is watching right now. Yes, it's you I'm talking about. So you are also the VIC person, because your opinion matters. There was a reason why you're here in this lifetime, and we want to hear from you. So if somebody who is listening and watching to us right now, if somebody has something to say, if you have questions to Hannah, if you have questions to Keith, if you would like just to connect with them and say hello, or you have questions to me, I'm your host, and my name is Jana. We would love to hear from you. on our website www.thekidz universe.com, or you can email us, especially if you have or know a child who would like to be featured on our program, who we can learn from or be inspired by and empower kids of all ages. Please contact us. So the email would be kidsuniversetv, kids with a Z, universetv@gmail.com, or just simply the website that I mentioned. And I want all of us to remember that what we usually think was impossible for us is actually possible. And having this conversation, I wish somebody talked to me about things that you just shared with me, guys, when I was your age or younger. So I think it's really, really needed in the world. So thank you for stopping by, and thank you, Keith and Hannah, and stay inspired.
Stay inspired.
Stay inspired, guys.
Hear hummingbirds fly. Hear unicorns dance. Hear bubbles all around. Make us wiggle and dance. Your life can't get any better. You're loved. You're heard. You're seen. You and I matter. You're loved. You're